Hello, my name is Emma Everett. I'm a criminal justice and psychology major at ULM. My career path is forensic psychology and criminal profiling. Today, I will do an overview of what forensic psychology is and the process it takes to become one, and what a process it is. It's definitely a process becoming a criminal profiler, and there is a broad variety of options that you can go down. There is no specific set way or path that you must take to be in this field. So, some skills needed to be a criminal profiler are critical thinking, communication, objectivity, active listening, and attention. Critical thinking is very crucial because profiling requires the ability to deduce information from a variety of facts and different sources. It's good to have good communication skills because you need to be able to consult with other police officials, and the ability to communicate well can make the difference in tense or awkward situations. Um, Objectivity ensures that results obtained in profiling are based on objective information and evidence. It eliminates biases and it is straight facts. Um, it's always good to be an active listener because this is needed when interrogating a suspect. It helps pick up when a person is lying, or they're scared, or they're nervous, or even when they're being threatened by another person and they want to talk but they can't. It's good to have really good attention skills because it's important to pay attention to details that can help find evidence or identify a suspect involved in a crime that you are related to. This is a timeline that shows the steps on how you can become a criminal profiler. Step 1, you get a high school diploma. Once you go to college, there are many ways you can go. You can get a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, forensic psychology, or forensic sciences. Most profilers get dual degrees. They get a master's and a bachelor in two different subjects. If you want this to be a very successful career, it's recommended to get a doctorate's degree because this field is, of course, very competitive, and they're going to be looking for people that have higher education, and they're going to get the better jobs. Um, the second step is Law Enforcement Training Academy is required to become a profiler. The academy gives specific training and experience that is required for the job. The link and curricula vary by department. That means the time in the academy varies. It doesn't have just like a set time. The requirements for the academy: you must be 21 years old, a U.S. citizen, have a valid driver's license, and no criminal record. The third step is to try to get in this field. You will need a clear understanding of all of these things. You need a clear understanding of rules of evidence, legal standards for charging and prosecuting, constitutional rights, and police procedure. Hands-on feel for investigative work is necessary to be a profiler, which means learning directly from an experienced law professional is needed and is required. So you have to go under someone before you can actually be a criminal profiler. Education and training only get you so far in this field. It's very hands-on, and you have to work your way towards the top. The fourth step is reality in this field is nothing like the TV shows and the movie show. It's much stranger than that, and you will get case studies and all kinds of different scenarios in college or in the police academy, and they are not the same as the real thing. Real crime scenes are messy, witnesses are very forgetful, and crime labs are often running behind on their schedules. You must put your training into practice on the streets to test your behavioral professional profiling skills. And the last step is finding a job. There's a few things that set you apart from the others. Having a high education, having lots of law enforcement skills, having plenty of investigative experience, certification options in behavioral analysis. Competition for these jobs is very fierce because of all the people who have doctorates versus lower degrees. People who are hiring will always consider the doctoral degrees people first because of their higher education and knowledge. It is incredibly challenging to become a professional criminal profiler because there are only a tiny fraction at all law enforcement jobs. Okay, now we're going to talk about getting hired as a criminal profiler. Before you get hired, you have to have extensive background in law enforcement and work in criminal justice for many years. Most people start out being a cop, so they get more experience. Some agencies require training to be a profiler. Profilers do not typically get hired for one specific job. They rely on partnerships with other agencies or like the FBI. Before becoming a criminal profiler, you need to be very understanding of the law enforcement and the standards and the policies and all the rules, and you need to be able to know what to do in any kind of situation. And like I said, most profilers start off as police officers because when they're police officers, they get quite a bit of experience and skill under their belt, so they know what they're really going into once they start profiling people and trying to put together crimes. Once criminal profilers get out of school and they get on the job field, they typically have just a bachelor's or a master's. And once they start getting into the groove of things and they finally decide they want to go back to school, they go get their doctorates or they go get a master's if they have a bachelor's. Many profilers hold graduate's degrees, and getting a master's or a doctoral in forensic science or psychology will help you stand out from the other people if you want a higher end job. The thing about being a criminal profiler is everybody starts at the very bottom and you work your way up like a pyramid. So you have to work your way up through the ranks, but some students are lucky enough when they're in criminal justice in college, they get internships and they get a head start on real life behavior analysis skills, like they can work in prisons, parole boards, or FBI agencies, and they just get a head start and they start working their way up faster than the others. There's really no certification in profiling that you can earn. The popularity of the field has resulted in cheap, low quality agencies trying to recruit naive college students to make a quick dollar for them. The BACB certification is not required, but it gives you an advantage on others who do not have one, just like education experience does. It ranks you up higher on the pyramid. There are a few agencies that hire criminal profilers. It's not just state. They do have state agencies, which is the state police in each state in the United States. And then we have the federal agencies, which is the CIA, the ATF, and the FBI. And also, we still have those lower end independent companies that are pretty cheap and they go for college students just for them to make a quick dollar. These are the badges of the organizations that would hire criminal profilers. We have the Louisiana State Police, we have the FBI, we have the ATF, and the private investigators independent companies. The private investigators independent companies are the lower end. The Louisiana State Police is, of course, state, and the FBI and the ATF are federal. This slide shows some famous profilers. We have John Douglas, he was in the FBI. We have Daley Hammond, she was in the FBI. We have Robert Ressler, he was in the FBI. And Candace DeLong, she was in the FBI. The first one is John Douglas. He was a retired FBI profiler and interviewed some of the world's worst killers. He went to school and got a master's in psychology and a doctorate in educational psychology at the University of Wisconsin in 1989. He had a quote that said, "The more I questioned these guys, the more I came to understand that the successful criminals were good profilers." He has written many books and he talks about his successful career. The most famous book he has is called Mindhunter, and in this book he talks about how he got to be so successful in the field and what all he has encountered with all the people. In conclusion, becoming a criminal profiler is definitely a process and it comes with many steps, and there is a lot of other ways you can go about being a criminal profiler. There's not just one set way. And it is a very extremely competitive field. It requires a lot of critical thinking, concentration and determination, and pushing yourself past your limits. Although this field is not the easiest, it is extraordinarily successful if you put in the work and become the best version of yourself. Um, Eventually, if you really want this in your life, you can become famous for it one day, even though it is a lot of challenging work and it really takes a toll on your mental health and is extremely exciting and a rewarding job.